And then, it's pretty much game on from there. So what were you going to say, brother?
So it's funny that we were talking about podcasts and how that comes into play. And not that I did a podcast, but this past weekend I actually went to Vegas.
Yeah.
To visit a client of mine. We just finished his daughter's house, and so talking about like people telling their story.
Right.
He's wanting to invest with me for some reason. He and I hit it off.
Yeah.
Right? And so he wants to invest in our company, and he believes in our product, and he believes in me. And so I went up there to visit them. Right.
Yeah.
Not specifically for that. I was going up to hang out with my cousin, but I took advantage of the opportunity, and I called him, and I was like, let's hang out. And so he's like, yeah, absolutely, let's go do lunch. And so I got to hang out with him and his wife. He took me to his business. What generates income,
right?
So that he could buy our product.
Yeah.
He showed me what he does, and so that was really cool. And then we went and had dinner at the country club where they live, and
in Vegas.
Yeah.
So it's not like the country club here in McAllen, right?
Man, no, this place was beautiful.
Yeah.
Not that McAllen isn't, but
we love you, McAllen.
Yeah, McAllen is the best, but
it's just different in Vegas, man.
It was up on a hill and overlooking the skyline, and so that was beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. I can imagine. So what ended up coming out of that?
So then after that, we went to his house, and so his daughter, who is living in the house that we built, we got to walk into her room, right?
Wait, so
where
you
she
built
grew
a
up.
House in Vegas?
I went to his house in Vegas. The doctor's house. So
did the house you built, is that in Vegas or is that here?
No,
that's here.
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
house that we built is here in
Gotcha.
McAllen.
Okay,
Yeah.
I thought
his daughter.
For his daughter.
Bro, you crossing borders. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Not that, and I've actually built in Vegas. We
have?
did a fossil in Vegas back in 2010 or so.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
I've been all over the country, man.
Dude, keep telling me about this dude though. I want to.
All right, so he takes me to his house, and it's really interesting because he's Hindu, right? And so he's got a different culture, and
sure.
He was telling me all about that, and I found that to be really interesting. And so he showed me, some of the stuff that they had there in their house and stuff, and that was really cool.
Prayer room?
They did. They had a prayer, like a little prayer section, and I'm asking them, well, what does this do, and what's this for, and what does this signify? And so that was really cool, just learning about somebody else's culture, especially being from McAllen. It's not like we're exposed to a whole lot, right?
Right.
We're 89%, Hispanic here, and so that was really cool. Anyway, so the daughter that's living in one of our products, I get to see her bedroom, right, where she grew up, and I'm taking pictures of her baby pictures, right?
Really?
And the quotes that she has on her wall, and I sent them to the team. Mm-hmm. It's just really interesting, man. Like here we are in McAllen. A lot of people in the United States don't know where we are. Right.
Right.
It's not a very popular city nationwide. And so this girl that grew up in Vegas comes and buys my house here and really loves it. And next thing you know, I'm like touring her house in her bedroom, seeing where she grew up. That was just really.
That's different, man.
It was really interesting. So talking about people like telling their stories, and you talking about doing your podcast and why you do them, I can relate.
Yeah,
I can relate.
It's definitely. I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I've just realized, I love learning about people, like their background, right? And that's part of the reason, like with the stories, people telling their story. Because, I mean, I've interviewed people. Like, I interviewed someone earlier today, actually, before y'all got here, and this guy came over from Mexico when he was a child. Had to learn the language, had to do all this stuff, and now he's one of the largest real estate brokerages in McAllen. In other words, so I mean, you go from, like, it's cool to like get to hear those stories from the humble beginnings to how they became successful and all the challenges and philosophies that go into it along the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like I was telling somebody the other day, it's like, yeah, man, if I, everybody, well, a lot of people know who like Grant Cardone is, or Gary Vaynerchuk, or Tony Robbins, right? And you hear those dudes all the time talking about how to build success. But I want to tell the real people story. Not that they're not real people, but you know what I'm saying?
No,
guys like you and me, and it's like we just had to do it through hustle and grind.
Absolutely.
Again, not that they didn't, but come on, man. Everybody's story is unique. Everybody's story is different. So, guys, if you haven't already noticed, you're already in another episode of the Big B Mortgage Podcast. Today, I am joined by my new friends Ronnie Cavazos and Kristal Morales from Structure Homes. Is that how it goes? Structure Team here in McAllen, Texas. And so you guys are obviously home builders, as I'm sure some of the people picked up on by now.
Right.
And I wanted to thank you for coming in and taking time to sit in the chair and talk a little bit, man.
Yeah, of course, man. I'm happy to be here. I appreciate that.
So Ronnie and Kristal, I got a lot of questions for you too. But Ronnie, dude, I met you last night over dinner, man.
Yeah.
We had a good dinner. Got to learn a lot about you and your family and how you guys do things here. And first off, did you grow up here in McAllen? You McAllen native?
I was born in McAllen, raised in Mission. Not that that's any different, but
it's basically North McAllen.
Basically. Well, it's like we consider that West Texas.
West Texas, there you go. I remember when that used to be a trek to go to Mission. Remember that?
I remember
it was
that.
like you got past the mall and it was like dead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Where am I?
Yeah. Now it just doesn't end.
Yeah.
It's crazy the growth you guys got here.
The valley's grown, man, tremendously in the last 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
So you were born here, grew up in Mission.
I was born in McAllen.
Yeah.
My family is from Mexico. I'm first generation Mexican American.
Okay.
We actually lived in Mier, Tamaulipas, before we moved to the States. And
right.
So we moved to the States soon after I was born.
Yeah.
We were all born, actually. I've got two older brothers and an older sister. We were all born in the States. And not because of immigration or because we wanted to be American citizens, but at the time, actually, it was cheaper to be born on this side of the border than it was on the other side. And so my dad would...
Did not know that.
Yeah. So my dad and my mom would come over here and, we were born and then we'd head back. Except for one of my brothers that didn't make it, Arnold. He was born in Reynosa.
Okay. So you're going to tell me it was like on the bridge, on the line, or something like that. Yeah,
he's right in the middle, so we don't know what he is.
Right. He's a little confused right now. We're just still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Dual citizenship. That's what we'll call it.
There you go.
Yes.
So we were all born on this side except for one of my brothers, and we went back to Mier, and soon after that we moved over here.
Yeah.
And
here we are. And the reason I asked that is because I'm staring at you, right? And I mean, we're gonna take the picture for the podcast. You're blonde like me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got are they blue or green?
They're blue.
I'm really not trying to gaze into your eyes for the podcast.
I see you looking at me, man.
Hey,
I'm feeling a little uncomfortable right now.
Dude, I'm like, you're taking me back. Like, hey, maybe I should reconsider CrossFit or something like that, But yeah, you got the blonde hair, the blue eyes, man. I mean, it's like, I used to lie to people and tell them I was from Monterrey.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, because, of course, I look how I look, which is shockingly Caucasian. But... How was that back then? Because I know what I went through growing up in Laredo.
Man,
was there like was it tough? Did you get picked on a lot?
Well,
being the blonde. I know the girls loved you.
So I don't know, to be honest with you. I was a shy kid, but
I'm married, man. Shut up.
No. So I grew up in Southside Mission, right? Which is one of the tougher schools, Castro School, and I actually, growing up, all my friends are brown skin, right?
Sure. So were mine.
My best friends and my sister, and they, brown skin. And so I never really looked at myself. I never saw myself as looking like a white guy.
Come on, man.
I really didn't, man.
You never got called Miklo back in the day?
Exactly. I was about to say that. Have you ever seen that movie, Blood and Water?
I'm a white guy who grew up in South Texas. I have absolutely seen those movies.
Yes. He's
Miklo. Por la raza or whatever.
Yeah. I get that all the time.
Los locos forever.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
So tell me, man. Okay, so you grew up here, man.
Yeah.
How'd you how'd you enter one? How did you get into the business you're in? Like, I mean, your story was awesome. Like, you originally started off. You were what? You were wanting to be an architect, right?
I mean, growing up, that's what I always said, right? I wanted to be an architect as a kid. I was always drawing buildings, and that was my thing. And so I wanted to be an architect. My dad was a framer, so I grew up in the industry. I started working with him when I was 8 years old. So he would build the framing and the structure of the house, and hence that's why the name of the company is called Structure. But my first job with him was picking up nails, right? I'd go around the job site, pick up nails, straight them out, because, nails cost money.
That's right.
And so that was my first job. And that's where I learned, that was my first, estimating, what the value of everything was.
Sure.
Right? And so that was my first job with my dad. And so that's what summers were about. My dad was really strict and really tough on us. And summers weren't about, while all my friends, it's like, all right, school's over, dude. Fun, let's go have a good time. We're going to the pool.
Yeah. We're going to the mall.
Yeah, dude.
Let's go to the mall.
Dude, I wish I could. I got to go work. And so that's what summers were about, working with my dad. And my brother did the same thing. My other brother did the same thing.
Yeah, man, you guys are cheap labor back then,
man.
bro.
Yeah.
Mine was the same way.
Looking back at that, I think my dad owes me quite a bit of money, some back pay.
You know what? I think we should file a report.
Some child labor laws were broken.
Something, man.
I know I've got some overtime there somewhere.
Right.
At the time, obviously, it sucked because you would just want to be a kid.
Right.
But looking back at it now and where I'm at in life, and my thirst for success and my work ethic is based because of that. And so otherwise, if I didn't have those summers where it's like working in the sun and helping my pops out, who knows, right? Maybe I wouldn't have the same work ethic. Maybe I wouldn't have that same thirst for success as I do now.
Yeah, I mean, our stories are run pretty parallel. My dad wasn't in construction, although he thought he was.
Like every dad, build the best.
Dude, we built some weird stuff, right? But, and we were also master mechanics too, right? Yeah. But I remember it was same thing, man. I got off that bus. I walked up to my house. I put my book bag down. I had 10 minutes to get a drink or something like that, and I go out and I start working. Yeah. Start working with the workers, because during the week, during school, he would have me work on the U.S. side. Yeah. Right? But on the weekends and summer,
right, we're in Laredo.
Dude, we're in Nuevo Laredo, because he had a warehouse over there. And I remember he used to, and I've told this on the podcast so much, the listeners are going to get sick of it, but oh well, it's my show. Yeah. But yeah, he always wanted me to learn Spanish when we moved to Laredo. And I fought it, man. I was like, nah, man, I don't want to learn Spanish. Nah.
I was like that growing up, actually.
Yeah?
I just thought it was weird speaking it, hearing myself in general. It was weird. It was easier to speak English. Everybody did it.
See, I was just lazy, Kristal. I was just lazy. I just didn't want to learn, right?
No, but here's the thing. My first language was Spanish.
Yeah. Was it
really?
It
was Spanish. My first language was Spanish. Our dad spoke to us in Spanish, my mom, my grandparents, everybody. It was just us growing up in school. Well, everybody's speaking English, so we got to speak like them.
Oh.
So I didn't just like being looked at differently because why is she speaking Spanish?
Well, you should have grew up in Laredo, because there wouldn't have been the emphasis on it there.
No, but not only because of that, because also, my mom and my grandparents were migrant workers, so we lived in Ohio for a good while. So speaking Spanish over there, it was just different. It was just completely different. I was the only Latina going to Caucasian school. So it was just always better to speak English and don't be outcasted or anything like that. Yeah. So I think a lot of people think like that still.
They kind of battle with it.
They battle with it. Like, oh, I'm not going to speak Spanish because it's just different.
I battle with it with with my kids, man. Because I'm married. Like, my wife is Hispanic, right? Mm-hmm. And so our kids, I tell them they're half breeds. Right? But they don't want to. They kind of resist. Like, my daughter took it in school, so she thinks she can kind of speak it, but me and my wife can still pull it over on her.
Yeah.
But yeah, like back then, man, my dad, in order to get me to learn it, he literally dropped me off at the warehouse in Mexico one day. I was about 11, and he told the guy who managed the warehouse, who spoke really good English, he was like, don't speak to him in English at all.
Yeah.
And that was it. The guy came over, told me, like, this is the last time I'm going to speak to you in English. Everything else will be Spanish, so you're just going to have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Damn.
And dude, trial by
awesome.
fire. Yeah, whatever, man. By the end of that summer, bro, I'm running around. I knew every cuss word.
Wait.
Yeah. Oye, carnal, ven pa' acá, güey. Mira, quiero hablar contigo.
Who's this freaking white guy?
Right? Monta los tacos. Like, I'm eating street tacos like it's a thing, you know? Like, I didn't care, man. But
that's cool.
But it was it, right? It was, you go to school, you come home, you go to work.
Yes.
And just like you said, man, like, yeah, I think my dad, in a lot of ways, probably saved my life.
Yeah.
Because I don't know where I'd have been.
Yeah. No,
If I
same
hadn't
here,
had that
man.
work ethic.
Same here.
So Kristal, what about you? I mean, you migrant worker. Your parents were migrant workers, you said?
Yes, they
so
were.
from the valley, from Mexico, what's the deal?
Well, my mom was born here, but family is from Guadalajara, and they did come over here. My grandparents, my mom were migrant workers. My dad, Diaz Ordaz, came over here, went to school, got married real young, had me, and obviously the only work then was that to make good work at the time, good money, was working up north.
Right.
There wasn't a lot of work down here. So we were up and down. My dad was in construction. Him and his brother started a business, and that's where I learned construction from.
Really?
Basically. Yeah. Just the only difference was that I was a girl, so I was more under my mom's wing, but my 3 other brothers went to work in the summers with my dad, too. So they were there picking up nails, working on. My dad was more foundation.
I see a trend with this picking up nail thing.
I don't know
picking
what's
up
up with
nails. My dad was more into the first couple of steps of construction. He was doing the foundation, the work, and all that stuff.
Gotcha.
So it was heavy labor, and my brothers and I learned that way of what it was to work and our work ethic as well. I think I got that from my dad. I didn't work in construction when I was little, but when I was 14, I did make flyers because at that time I was in cheerleading, and my parents had 4 of us, so it was pretty expensive to have 4 kids.
In cheerleading.
And I was wanting to be in cheerleading. Reason because of that was, before that I played football with my brothers. So I was in Pee Wee football, and then in junior high when I tried trying out for the football team, my dad said, pues estás loca. Estás loca, no, estás con puros pelados y this and that, every Mexican traditional father.
Right.
So I was like, okay, what's the closest thing? Cheerleading. So I went into cheerleading, and of course it's expensive.
Sure.
So the way I made money for that, I made flyers and started babysitting when I was 14. Charged $10 the hour, gave them out.
Look at this,
Hey,
man. You got a little
and
entrepreneur
she's
for
still
you,
offering
man.
the business. It sounds like does anybody need a
No.
babysitter
I
out
think we're
there?
gonna start selling this.
All of that.
Rates
of
have gone
course.
up a little bit, but
Right?
still available.
We're looking for nail counters. No, just kidding.
But yeah, that's how I started my work ethic and started working basically for myself, so I can get what I wanted into my hobbies and my interests and stuff. But basically, yeah, it was similar stories like Ronnie was telling his. Same background. I grew up in Mission 2, graduated Eagles, but pretty similar.
Nice.
Very similar.
Well, you're in good company, man.
Yeah,
I
man,
mean,
that's
but
why
I
she's
think
on the
you're,
team.
Yeah, it sounds like a good work ethic straight out the gate, man.
Yeah, man.
So, tell me the story. Tell me the structure story.
Structure.
I mean, how did it come about, right? Like, how did you go from wanting to be an architect to, hey, I'm going to start building these beautiful, smart homes?
So, yeah, that didn't happen right away. Or
I mean, it wasn't just like,
no,
hey,
of course not. Of course not.
over a couple beers?
No. Well, no, a couple beers definitely.
That's how you got brave
That's
enough
never
to do it.
missing.
Yeah. That's how I got brave
brainstorm.
enough to. It was after a few beers and no more money that I was like, oh shit, I gotta make some money.
Let's start a business.
Yeah.
There
So
you go.
So I'm living in Dallas in 2004,
Uh-huh.
and a buddy of mine is living down here, and at the time, the valley's blowing up, right? It's growing, and there's a lot of construction going on. And so he calls me, and he's like, hey, dude, you've been wanting to start your own business. Like, this is, construction. It's blowing up. You should come back down and do that. And so I did. I was engaged at the time, about to be married. Yeah, needed to find some way to, make the wife happy. And so I moved down, and I didn't have a dime, right? I didn't have any savings. I was like,
what's that?
20. I was 25 at the time, right? And so 25, 26, on that 10-year college program, right? That a lot of us have been on.
Still on.
Still on. Some of us. I got to finish eventually, but so I moved down, and I wanted to start a spec, right? Build a house to sell,
right? And
had no funds to do it, so I approached a physical therapist, a friend of mine, and went to his office and got up on the whiteboard, and I was like, look, I got a proposition for you, right? I got this thing that I think we should do. And so I put some numbers on the board, and it's like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and you're going to make this, I'm going to make that. Are you in? And he's like, yeah, I'm down, let's do it. So we start with a couple homes. Right. And prior to that, yes, I had done framing. I did know the construction industry, but I had never built a house from start to finish. Ooh. Right? And so, yeah, so he totally trusts me, right? I don't know why.
You really sold it.
Yeah, I really sold it. I don't know if I raised the volume on this thing or what. But anyway, so I go at it, right? And I put up these two houses, and had to do some of the work myself because, I was new in it, and some subs didn't show up or they didn't do stuff right, and so I had to go and fix it. And so I am trying to be entrepreneur and doing manual labor at the same time, and needless to say, I didn't quit, and I got it done, and we sold a house. We sold the next one, then I sold another one, and then I built another one, and then I got a client, and so there we go, right? It gets started. 2004. Yeah. That's my first year. And so
I know where this is going.
Yeah. So after that, I built a couple other houses, picked up what I could. I did some commercial work for him, for that same therapist. He did some wireless stores, and so I built those. And then 2007, hits.
Here we go.
Yeah, and so yes, right underneath us, right? It gets pulled off, and I'm barely getting some momentum, right? I've got a little bit of money in the bank, but there's absolutely no work, and I get to the point where we go through all my savings. By this point, we've had my son Cannon. He is 3 at the time, 2 at the time actually. And I got to the point where I literally had no idea where I was going to get money from the next week. Oh, yeah. Right? Yeah. I got a son, I got a wife, and it's like, dude, you're crying in bed, and what the hell am I doing? And
at 3 a.m., like,
yeah, I am the worst father and husband ever.
I've been there.
I'm putting them in this position, and it was tough, right? And so, so we land a job in Roma to do a Jack in the Box, and that goes well. And so that same company sent us to Houston. So now I got a little bit of money in my pocket, and that same company sent us to Houston, where we ended up doing 38 McDonald's remodels.
I'm sorry, 38 McDonald's?
38 McDonald's.
Wow.
Yeah, so it kept us busy. It was tough because I was away from the family, but I had to do what I had to do, right, to provide.
The lights are on.
The lights are on, and the kids are going to school, and water's running, and people are eating, kids are eating, and wife's eating, and
they're live.
There it is.
Yeah. Meanwhile, living out of a suitcase, right?
Yep.
I took some guys from here, to Houston. Some legal, some not.
We have this on record.
Yeah. Immigration has been an issue for a long time.
Just throwing that in there.
Just throwing that in there. Anyway, so we did 38 McDonald's in Houston, and then we hooked up with another company that we started doing some commercial finish outs nationwide, Buckles, Anna's Linens, Maurice's, retail stores like that.
Right.
And started traveling the country. We went as far east as Panama City, Florida. As far north as Rapid City, South Dakota. And then my last, we're all over the place, man. Living out of a suitcase for like freaking 4 years. 4 or 5 years, yeah. But I learned a lot, right? And I grew up a lot. And I took on stuff that I didn't even know I, could do. It was just, you just jumped in feet first and figured it out as you went, and, doing a lot of the work, managing at some point, cleaning up, janitor, blah, 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 you know the story. Doing a little bit of everything, wearing multiple hats.
Right.
So Rapid City, South Dakota is the furthest we went. And actually, there's a funny story about that, right? And so we're in Rapid City, right? We're from South Texas.
Yeah.
And we don't know anything about the cold, right? It's freaking hot down here like 90% of the time.
Right.
And so one of my crews was from Houston. A bunch of Latinos from Houston,
right.
Driving in a van to Rapid City, South Dakota. They get there, and it's like, I don't know, like 20 below or some bullshit like that. Dude. And of course, none of them thought about like
coats,
antifreeze.
Oh no,
antifreeze. Yeah. So we're in Rapid City, South Dakota. I got a bunch of Mexicans with me in a van. We don't have antifreeze in it. It freezes over, and
that's brutal.
It was a mess. Yeah, it was a mess.
Yeah, because once it's done, right?
That's it.
There ain't no keep it on like to run the heater.
No, that's it. Yeah.
And I've never been to South Dakota, but I've seen enough pictures to know you were probably in the middle of nowhere, right?
It felt like the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Yes. It didn't feel like home. I'll tell you that.
No.
It didn't feel like home.
No, dude. I'll bet you were real popular with those guys.
Yeah. So anyway,
were you in the van with them?
I wasn't in the van. Actually, I'd already gotten there.
Oh, so now you're just like
we had just left the job.
White guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. With no
Yeah. I'm that guy.
Nice.
I'm that guy. So anyway, we got the job done. We got the van fixed.
Yeah.
And then from there, we're traveling to San Antonio, down to San Antonio to build another Aspen Leaf, or I don't remember. It was like a yogurt place or whatever. So yeah, here we are traveling all around the country, doing a bunch of finish outs. And the last one was in Vegas.
Yeah.
We did a fossil there. I was there for like 6 weeks, and I think we were staying at the Hooters Hotel.
Of all the places.
It was free. It was cheap. It was like $16 a day. So all the guys were like, "Yeah, that's a great place. We'll stay there."
Right? Dude, have you seen their chicken wings?
Yeah, dude, they have the best food. But my wife wasn't buying it, and so she was like, "All right, I think this is enough traveling. You're staying where? Where? Yeah. And you're in what city? You probably should get home."
Put that kibosh on that one quick, huh?
Yeah. So anyway, that was our last traveling job.
Wow.
After that, it was like, okay, it's 2010, moving back to the Valley, or not moving, but going back and trying to find work here.
Right.
And so when I left, it was a little scary. It was a little scary because when I left, there was nothing, right? And there was no work to be had, and I had no money, and so it was a little scary to come back. But obviously I have a family. I have a daughter by this time.
Oh wow.
And so once again, jump in feet first, and all right, I'm going back, and I'll just get what I get and hope things go well. And so the first job that I had when I got back was a full major remodel, which by that time we had gotten used to. We had over 100 in our belt, traveling across the country. And it was a residential remodel, so it was a little different, but nonetheless, same old, same old. And anyway, that went well. We did that job for TJ Flowers, who continues to be a friend of mine.
Right.
We went to his Christmas party this past year, which is really cool.
Nice.
And so we did that one, and then we got another job, word of mouth. We landed another major residential remodel, and just took it from there. Every year we did a little bit better than the last. Picked up some more remodels. Hooked up with a prominent family here in McAllen, who had seen my work. We were doing a house in the Main Street and Iris in the middle of McAllen, right? And we had a major hailstorm hit, like specifically that area. It was like
just on that.
Yeah,
house.
just in that, like, I don't know, a radius of about 2 miles or something.
Right.
And my sign is sitting right in the middle of that, right? And so.
Now, are you already branded a structure at that point?
I'm already branded a structure.
Okay.
Then, yes. Yeah, so I'm branded a structure, and my sign's in the middle, and I still have that sign that's belted with hail, right? But that was kind of what, like, blew us up, because I'm not going to say we blew up, but we got a ton of work because of it. And so we're getting calls constantly, come help us fix our house. And that's when I got a call from a prominent family here in McAllen, who we did, the parents' house, and then we did the son's house, and then we did the other son's house, and then we did the daughter's house, and then we did the other daughter's house. And the budgets were pretty hefty because,
they were well off.
They were well off, and they believed in me, and they believed in my creativity, so I had some creative freedom and the money behind it to do a lot of really cool stuff. And so that's what really kind of set a name for us, right?
Wow.
For structure. We started, people started knowing about us and hearing about us and inquiring about us and what we do, and so that was really cool.
Wow, man.
Yeah. I'm still doing work for them. Still doing work for TJ Flowers. They ended up doing a juicing plant for Lone Star Citrus, a company that they own.
So you still do a little bit of the commercial stuff?
I still do. I've done it all.
Work is work, right?
Work is work, man. I grew up. I was.
You were counting nails.
Yeah, man. There was times where I didn't have anything. So when you go through those times, like, yeah, you don't give up on anything.
Yeah, I was there. I was living in the valley when it hit.
Yeah.
Right, and the recession of 2007, I mean, it's probably been on damn near every podcast I've done.
Yeah.
Because the people I've interviewed are like, yeah, everything was going great, and then 2007 came. And,
yeah.
And it was like, yup, I was right there with you.
It was tough, man, for a lot of people.
Oh, man, I was living in Brownsville at the time, and I was still doing okay, like in mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got approached to move to San Antonio and help rebuild something in San Antonio for a guy that I was working with. And I remember he was like, yeah, man, I think you can do good, because I opened up my little office in Brownsville right when everybody was starting to shut down.
Yeah.
And so while everybody else is trying to sell all these like subprime programs that are dying by the day, I'm like, dude, FHA, man, it's the way to go.
Yeah.
And so while they're going down, I'm going up. So it looked like I was a genius, dude. I was just lucky.
Yeah.
Like, that's all it was.
Timing.
Yeah, it was timing. Like, I knew that program, I knew that, and it fit, right? So, of course, I hear, oh, God, I get to move back to San Antonio? Cool. Talk to the wife. Boom, we're on it. Thing was, dude, we bought way too much house.
Yeah.
I had to have an air-conditioned garage for some stupid reason at that time. Like,
dude, you were rich.
The ego was there, baby. And then I remember we moved there, and that was like in September, October. November-ish is right when everything started to just really go bad. And here I am sitting in this big monster house.
Yeah.
Exactly what you described.
Yeah.
Like over the next few years, just like.
Yeah, deflated.
Dude.
Defeated.
Yeah. Dude, I suck.
Yeah.
Like how I was never that good to begin with. It's so hard to pick yourself up to stop, I could say feeling sorry. It was so hard to stop feeling sorry for myself
Yeah.
and just get back on the horse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, like, yeah, dude, and we got pregnant during that.
Yeah.
So it was like, hey, by the way, we're having our third child. Like,
what?
Who? What? ¿Cómo?
¿Cuándo?
Right? When did the what?
Do you really want to know?
Right? Pinche Cabernet. Yeah. But yeah, and it took years to recover, right? And I'm sure it sounds like you went through the same thing.
Yeah, man.
I didn't do the traveling roadshow thing, but dude, I'll bet you got some great stories from the road, dude.
It was
I
fun,
think I'm gonna have to create a side series just for your roadshow stories.
Yes, you should.
Right? We're gonna call it the Roadshow edition.
Yeah, man.
With Ronnie.
If I can remember all of it,
Dude,
there was a lot of drinking.
Podcast, bro. Ronnie's Roadshow.
Yeah. Oh, we'll need some ginkgo biloba or something, man. I got to retrieve those memories, but there was a lot of drinking at the time.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So, Kristal, how did you get introduced to structure?
How did I get introduced to structure? Basically, I was working at Best Buy not too long ago, and I was working in, I don't know really how.
Produce.
Yeah, I was working with an ex-employee of ours, JD, and in produce, and from there he's like, hey, I'm working with this company. We're starting to grow really fast. We need what you have. I was like, okay. So I gave it a shot, and I've been here since then.
Wow.
Couple hiccups.
Couple hiccups.
Right.
But I'm
Life.
here, and I'm growing and learning a lot. Just
Failing forward? Is that what
Yeah.
you're doing?
Yeah.
Failing forward. That's a
Failing
good
forward.
One.
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Failing. That's a good one.
It's one of the things they teach us. It's actually, and there's a book, I think, called that, but yeah.
I like that, yes.
That
I failed forward, and I've been doing so much better, not only for me, but for my son. I have a 5-year-old.
Awesome.
And pretty much I learned also from the recession, it hit everybody.
Right.
In 2007, my dad's company, construction company, no longer had work because of that. And just like you, my dad was on the couch. My mom picked it up from there, and not on the couch to where he wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
He was just stressed, and he didn't know what he was going to do. He felt like, what am I doing? And real proud Mexican, traditional, no, tu mamá no debe estar trabajando, yo tengo que hacer esto, así debe hacer. But it wasn't like that because of the recession. So my mom worked, helped, until finally he was able to talk to some people. I never knew who that guy's name was, pero él dice el Filipino.
Right.
So he found some Filipino, and
we'll call him the investor.
So he found some
air quotes.
The Filipino, and from there he got work. So he goes up to San Antonio till this day, San Antonio, Lubbock, wherever they send him, Alice, and he's been thankfully doing great since then. But he just never gave up, ever, and that's basically what it is.
Yeah, it's that
you
perseverance.
fail, and then just keep going. If you failed this way, well, you're gonna fail another way later on, but eventually you try all options and you know which one's the best and which one works and which one doesn't.
There you go. No, that's a nugget for the podcast, folks.
Yeah.
She just gave you a nugget. That's awesome, though, man. So you got introduced. You met with this guy, I assume, right?
Yes.
And then you shared the vision, and then it was just game on from there, and you've been learning as you go, huh?
Yeah, the good thing is I pick up really fast because this industry moves really fast.
Yeah, no, from what I hear. Yes. And so there was a story that Nancy told me about you guys, and I think you shared it with me too. It's like you guys was it last year you did that parade of homes?
We did, yeah.
Yes.
And you had multiple houses that you built and then a model home or something like that.
Yeah, so so we did a bunch of remodels, right?
Yeah.
Up until 2017.
Yeah.
Remodels, some commercial, taking whatever we can get. I finally got to this is kind of what I've always wanted to do, right? Like build the construction company, have a model home, design my own plans, have creative freedom. That's always been my thing. So 2017 comes around and I've got some money in the bank and feel a little more comfortable kind of taking that leap of faith and putting up a model home and buying some lots and putting up a spec. and the timing was great because we did it just in time for the Parade of Homes. A buddy of mine, Mike Duffy, who still sells us our lumber, was the one that was like, "You need to do this. You need to, it'll be a shot in the arm. You've got to be in, get this done in time for Parade of Homes, right? You're gonna have a bunch of people." So we did. We finished the house, and it's a product that's a little bit different. We try to do things a little bit different when we're designing. And anyway, so it went really well. We sold everything we had.
Even the model.
Yeah,
Even the
Like
which you described as?
Yeah, the stupidest thing I ever done.
Yeah.
So
we have it on tape, Chris.
Yeah, don't sell your model. You have nothing else to sell once you sell that.
Well, but I heard this I heard that the person who bought it came in. You left the door unlocked?
No, so check this out, right? So like,
here we go.
Yeah, so I'm a little scared right? I'm investing, I don't know, $500,000-$600,000 and a lot of it is on loan, by the way. Actually, most of that is on loan.
You have some money in the bank. Anyway.
Yeah. That's all a loan, guys. But it's a big risk, and so and it's a different product, and it's kind of hard to like express the way the product looks.
Down here, since everybody's a lot more close-minded, it's hard to introduce something new because everybody goes with like the traditional,
the status quo.
The status quo.
If I had $1 for every time I've heard "What's a podcast?" Trust me, I get it. And yours is like, well, yeah, and that's the cool part. To you that's the fun part. That's the fun part. Yes. But so go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. So we finished the model, right? Mm-hmm. We're gonna open our doors up to the public Monday morning. Right. So I get there Monday, and this girl comes in 9:00 in the morning, and she is super excited to be there. She broke into the house the night before.
She broke in.
Yeah, she broke in. Well, we left the sliding door open, so it wasn't like she didn't break anything.
She didn't jimmy the lock.
She didn't jimmy the lock, but it was like illegal to be somebody's property. Ruth.
She didn't get the memo.
But it's cool.
Really?
Anyway, so she gets there at 9 a.m, and she wants the house.
Yeah.
Right. And it was that time where it was like, okay, like all the hard work it's taken to get to this point, the struggle, the risk, it all just kind of came. I mean, it was actually a little sentimental for me because it worked, right?
Right.
This worked. This is gonna work, right?
Yeah.
Like, dude, we just opened, and
she
already wants a house, and she loves it, and so that was really cool, man. That was really cool.
Yeah, I heard it was, and from what I heard, and again, this is a third party telling me this. It's like she was not taking no for an answer as far as like she was gonna buy your house.
She was buying
whether the hell you wanted to sell it or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's
how good our product
speaks
is.
Volume. Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, dude, if every builder could say, "Yeah, people demand to buy my home. They broke in the night before and they showed up," and it was like, I think they'd all be happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it just speaks volume as to what you guys are delivering. And to be honest, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't know if I'm going to get to see it before I leave today, but I promise you, I'm looking forward to going.
Yeah, you need to stop by, man.
I want to see it because
pictures can only do so much. Well, you got to walk the space.
Dude, just what you described with me with what you're doing with the smart technology, that's unheard of here.
Yeah.
And the modern design. And the cool part, too, that you were sharing with me last night, these are your plans. These aren't like, you didn't just go to like the internet and buy those pre-done plans that you see everywhere, right? Like you designed.
Yeah. So part of the thing of traveling the country was I got introduced to this, one of the most famous architects of all time, Frank Lloyd Wright. Mm-hmm. I visited toured one of the houses that he did in Springfield, Illinois, the Dana Thomas house.
Okay.
And this guy was building in the late 1800s, early 1900s. And what he was able to do with space and light and was just man, amazing, right?
Right.
And so that was the first house I saw. After that, I went to Chicago. I visited a bunch of more houses. I went to Arizona, Taliesin West in Scottsdale, the Roby House in Chicago. I mean, I visited so many, Unity Temple in Chicago. Anyway, so I studied this guy's work, and I'd go back and like, you know, I toured Dana Thomas, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 times. Just kind of like, okay, well, why do you feel this way in this space? And then you go to another space. Well, why do you feel like this in this space? The guy was phenomenal, man.
Dude.
Yeah, no, dude, seriously, like this guy was the shit, right? And so you're studying and you're there and you're kind of taking notes and you're drawing and so, you know, I try to incorporate some of the stuff, right, in what we do. I'm not an architect by trade. I'm just a fan, man. And I want to build stuff that made me feel that same way, right?
Right.
The way he would compress you and decompress you and manipulate the way you walk through a house, like
I've never ever considered that side of it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like for me, it was always a house is a house. Like, how's the floor plan? Oh, okay, it's got a media room.
Nah, man. No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's just so like you said last night at dinner. It's like, oh, you walk in and there's a dining room and there's a study. You know, you don't need a home office per se, and you never eat in the dining room except for like Thanksgiving or something like that. Right. And so your vision of the way you want that, in other words, like, I think it's so unique that you want your customers to feel something in their home. Man. You know what I mean?
I mean, you spend all your time there, right? You grow up there. You spend your family time there. There's so many memories that you create in your home that it's like, why wouldn't that be more important when you're putting it together and designing it? And it should be like the most important. Right?
Oh yeah,
all your time is spent.
Well, and when you were telling me that last night, it made me think of something like one of the homes we owned in San Antonio at the time. It was the house, like it was like, yeah, this is my house.
Yeah. And
every time I would drive up to it, I could be having a bad day.
Yeah.
But the way, and it was just a regular, it was an above average spec built home.
Yeah.
But I bought a former model, and so it had a lot of the upgrades, right?
Yeah.
Custom stonework and all this stuff. But anyway, I was thinking about it after I spoke to you last night. When I used to drive up to that house after work, it was like, yeah, this is my house.
Yeah, see, it made you feel certain way.
It made me feel good. Like, and there was a sense of pride versus, like, my first house that I ever bought. It was just like, okay, I'm home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you have the pride of home ownership, but when you can have that thing that is unique, that when you go up to it or whatever, it's like a car, right?
Yeah.
And like with your vehicle, like I promise, I'm certain that every time you get in your car, it's like, yeah, this is my car.
Yeah.
Like,
I do that. It's not my car.
But yeah, and so I think it's really great that you're putting so much consideration into how are you going to feel in the space.
And how are you going to use your space.
Yeah, because for a lot of people, it's just stamp them out.
I mean,
we'll change the carpet or whatever. Here are the 4 tile selections you can choose.
We all remember our house where we grew up.
Sure.
Right? We I bring this up often because I know it happens to me. Like, you'll have dreams about your house. You could detail the house where you grew up in. You could sketch it out on a piece of paper.
Right.
It's that engraved in people's head, right?
Yeah.
And so if I'm going to affect people for the rest of their life, like, I want to affect them in a good way, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. I mean, it's nothing complicated. It's not some crazy thing that I want to do.
It ain't rocket science.
Yeah, it's just affect people in a positive way, and that's good karma. It's it's good energy. It's
well, and it's like you guys were saying, customers for life, right?
Yeah,
like
man.
They're more than just your
community,
clients or your friends,
family. Yeah, all that's
I think
important.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
so what are so Kristal, maybe you can answer this. What are the goals for 2018 for structure?
Goals 2018 for structure. Do at least
see if she's been paying attention, dude.
Realistically, we'll do about 25 to 30 homes, but our goal is to do at least 50.
Okay. 50 homes.
It's a hefty goal. Really?
It's a hefty goal. Yes. Did you know this, Ronnie?
Yes, he did.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
well, so we got to go now. We got to get to work.
Yeah. So why am I doing this podcast? Nah, man, but that's awesome, though.
Yeah.
Dude. And like I said, I look forward to seeing what you guys are doing. So people looking for you, like if someone heard this and they was like, okay, I want to see what the hype is about.
Yeah.
How do they find you?
So, we've been growing, and we built a website last year.
Hey.
It's crazy. www. We're in the World Wide Web now.
Nice.
Anyway, we got a website. It's called it's thestructureteam.com. Go check that out, please.
Absolutely.
We've got pictures on there, and
we have a Facebook.
We've got a Facebook, facebook.com/buildingthergv, or if you just type in structure, it should come up. Mm-hmm. We post on that pretty often, so that's more up to date than the website. But we've got pictures, and we, try to show off what we do as much as possible.
Sure.
You can find us through there. Google us, Structure Team.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, any final words before we cut out?
Actually, so now that we're at this point, right? We want to grow the company and we want to take it forward. We created a mission statement prior to this.
Sweet!
Right?
Are you gonna release that here, or what are you doing?
I am.
Nice.
First time.
First time it's been released publicly, right?
Here we go.
Yes.
So at Structure, we believe in challenging the status quo, right? And you'll see that when you look at the pictures or when you walk our house.
Our design.
We believe in thinking outside the box. Once again, challenging the status quo. We believe in function is just as important as form. How you're going to use the space, how we all kind of use the space normally, is just as important as what it looks like. We believe in quality. We believe in community. Once again, building family. We believe in family. Having friends for life. We believe in integrity. Right? What you say. If you say you're going to do something, you do it. We believe in our product, obviously. And most importantly, right? This one always gets me, man, because
it's the reason why we do it.
It's all good, baby. Just let it out.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do anything on your own, right? We believe in our people.
Yeah.
And they're important to me.
Yeah.
And that's why we do what we do, right?
Yeah.
Kristal's here talking about being able to provide for his son. I carry that with me, Hector, who's been with me for a long time, he's got his daughter in college now. We paid for part of her books. That's important to us. My brother's now working with me. That's always been a dream. That's important to me. All my labor guys, Joe, Tony, Gaston, Pikachu, Carlos. They've been with me for a long time, man, and
we're family.
They're providing for their family, and their kids are going to school. Tony's son is now working with us, so that was super satisfying. He graduated high school recently, and he's now training with Hector to be a project manager, and talking about things turning full circle.
Yeah.
So that's what we're about.
We're a team.
Yeah, man.
That is awesome.
We're a team.
I mean, it's amazing. Yeah. Hey, man, I get it. I believe me, I echo that sentiment 110% because at the end of the day, however many people are on your team right now, it's not that person. Like, it's that many families. And that's something like for me that I'm, I cover this the region of Texas, like this part of Texas. It's not, it's not Nancy. Like, it's Nancy's family or Rachel's family, And so, dude, yes. Like, and that just makes this even more impactful is because, dude, I'm watching you struggle to say it. And the fact of the matter is it's how much you mean it. Yeah. And that right there, whoo, baby. You can't buy that. Like, that's strong, dude. That's strong. I love that mission statement, man.
Yeah, man. Cool, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Let me know when you get that thing up on big print.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
We're going to do it.
Cool, man.
We are.
Man, I want to thank you for taking the time in my chair, bro.
Yeah, of course.
This was awesome. Kristal, thank you for coming in. I know you didn't expect to be on the mic.
I did not, but thank you. I enjoyed this. Very good experience.
Absolutely.
Love it.
So, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Big B Mortgage Podcast. This is officially our longest podcast we have recorded.
Oh, cool. Sorry.
Awesome.
No, not even, dude. This was good stuff, man. But remember, man, check Ronnie and his team out over at structuredteam.com.
Yep.
And if you're on Facebook, it's Building the RGV. Is that right?
Yeah, I think if you search for structure, it should come up.
Just search for structure.
The Structured Team, yeah.
Sweet.
It'll come up.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Give us a like. Give us a share. Give us some feedback. And, hey, I'm going to go ahead and friend these two folks and tag them on this post for Facebook. If you enjoyed this episode, let them know, man. Reach out. Show them some love. Check out what they're doing. They're doing some very special things for the city of McAllen, guys. You guys got to look at this. So with that, I'm going to conclude. Again, thank you for listening, and stay social, everybody. Later.